Today we will be working on an 8th grade geometry problem. Standard with code 8.G.9. Know the formulas for the volumes of cones, cylinders, and spheres, and use them to solve real-world and mathematical problems. The domain is geometry. The cluster is solve real-world and mathematical problems involving volumes of cylinders, cones, and spheres, and the type is reasoning. So the first thing we're going to be looking at today are the 3 volumes for each of the items we are going to be working with. The cone, which is 1/3 times the base times the height. A cylinder, which is pi times r squared times height, where r is the radius. And a sphere, which is 4/3 times pi times r cubed, where r is equal to the radius once again. The first problem we are going to be working with will deal with cones. So it reads, Joe wants to know how much ice cream he can fit in his ice cream cone, which is 6 inches tall and has a diameter of 3 inches. What is the volume? So we can start off with our constant, which is 1/3. We then realize that the next part of the information gives us the height of the cone, so we can go ahead and plug in 6. We then find what the base is, which is relatable to the diameter, which we find out to be 3. When we go ahead and multiply all this out to give us our volume, we can find out that the volume of a cone is going to give us 6 cubic inches. So Joe will have 6 cubic inches of ice cream within his cone. Our next problem will relate to a cylinder. It'll read, Susie wants to know how many beans come in a can that measures 4 inches in diameter and 6 inches in height. What is the volume of the can? For this, we can go ahead and start out with pi. Our next term that we are looking for will be the radius, which we have a diameter of 4 inches, so we know the radius is half of that, which is 2, and we square that number. The next number is our height, which is going to be 6, and this will equal our volume. For this, volume of this can of beans is going to come out to be 24 pi cubic inches. So that is the volume within the can of beans that Susie will end up purchasing. Our last problem, we will work with a sphere. It reads, Basketball Joe wants to know how much air is in a basketball that is 8 inches in diameter. What is the volume of the ball? We start out with our first term of 4/3. We then multiply that by pi, and then our radius cubed. So we find out that 8 inches is the diameter, and we divide that by 2, which is 4. So 4 cubed, and then this will equal the volume of the basketball. After multiplying all these terms out, we find out that the volume of the basketball is going to be 85.3 pi cubic inches. So in today's lesson, we learned about the volumes of a cone, a cylinder, and a sphere. We solved a problem of each. So the volume of a cone is equal to 1/3 times the base times the height. The volume of a cylinder is equal to pi times r squared times height, where r is your radius, and the volume of a sphere is equal to 4/3 times pi times r cubed, where r stands for your radius once again.